Hi everyone, Comic Reviewer here, and this time doing a new film review, and this one is on Captain Underpants, the first epic movie. Now, as you know, Captain Underpants was a series of children's novels, mainly by Dav Perkley, and the premise of the film is meant to be about George and Harold, who are two good friends, and both of them have this kind of strong bond, and basically write this big and sort of popular comic known as Captain Underpants. Now, the characters have certain traits. George is basically the black friend and is basically the one who writes the stories, and George is basically the kind of like blonde-haired kid who kind of illustrates the stories and sort of sketches them out. So at the same time, they do pranks at their school, much to the dismay of Mr. Crump, voiced by Ed Helm, also known for playing in the Hangover films. Now, Crump's character is like, what would happen if you had, say, Mr. Bones from Doug or Principal Skinner's? He's quick to abuse his position as a teacher, and he's also quick to basically use, and if not, take advantage of every moment he has. So after an incident that happens, which forces Crump to threaten them, to basically threaten to get rid of them, they basically hypnotize their principal into thinking he's the superhero Captain Underpants. And at the same time, we see him basically as this kind of like guy running around in his underpants thinking he's a superhero. And at the same time, also, so George and Harold have to deal with their new teacher, known as Professor Poopy Pants, who basically has goals of his own. So I do admit, somewhere, the film isn't bad. I would say the animation feels almost reminds me of the Snoopy cartoon that was released recently. And I do admit what makes the film work. It's basically how two friends who basically make something, eventually make something that comes to life. And at the same time, there were some moments I do feel the film could have been a bit better. I feel like when you have, say, the lunch lady Edith, voiced by Kristen Sketchel, known for playing Sarah in BoJack Horseman and Maybelle in Gravity Falls, I feel like she's just thrown in there to be the kind of love interest and you don't know much about her. I feel you could easily have had her as Harold's mother, who has feelings for Principal Crump, and you could have easily have had Harold and them trying to get them to separate, or pretty much use the Captain Underpants persona to try and break them apart, but much to their dismay, find out basically she still loves him. And what's actually interesting is that Jordan Peele, known for voicing Bugula in basically Supermansion, and also known for playing in basically doing the Twilight Zone and that, is also the character Melvin, who's basically the nerdy nemesis and kind of meant to be the kind of character who's just not really a likable character. So I do admit what's interesting is that there was originally going to be a live-action film of Captain Underpants, but unfortunately Chris Farley, who Dave Perkley wanted to play the character, unfortunately passed away, and leaving the project shelved, which I think was probably for the best. And what's interesting is that this is also the last DreamWorks movie to be released by 20th Century Fox, mainly due to Disney's takeover of it. And what's interesting is that there was also a Netflix series called The Epic Tale of Captain Underpants that was released in January 2018 on the 30th. So I think the movie is definitely not bad. And I think it's a bit quick at the opening. And I feel like you could have easily have had Harold and George kind of like at the start on the bus and then showing their comics to their friends. And you could have easily have had Crump seeing this and kind of ripping it out and calling it trash. It would have been a better way of opening the story. So, despite everything, I think, I think, I think definitely Captain Underpants had its pants on, but I think somewhere it fell down almost through. It's not one of the best, not one of the greatest, but I think it left an impact. So it deserves a thumbs up. Still good, and still alright. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.